Hello friends, welcome to episode 5 of the SPL Show. Now, what does Singapore have in common with Bhutan, Belarus and Australia? That's right, only 4 countries the world over managed to continue with their football leagues this week, and we're very proud to say Singapore was one of them. Not only that, I've got no life, so I watched the Bhutanese football, the A-League, and some of the action from Belarus, and I can say without any hint of bias or vested interest that Singapore provided the most entertaining and exciting football anywhere in the world this week. So, what better place to look back at the action than here in the company of 2 top guests? It's the table toppers Tampines Rovers in the studio today, represented by the prodigy that is 29-year-old manager Gavin Lee and 31-year-old Jordan Webb. Great to have you here, guys. And Jordan, I'll start with you. I think it's safe to say you've never been playing better. You must be delighted with your form at the moment.
Yeah, happy. Even though I thought I played just as well, probably 2016, but obviously now is that matters. Now is what matters. So I mean, the team definitely is the reason why I'm definitely doing well, and Gavin has put us in a position. So
yeah, well, I'm looking forward to finding out more about this dynamic. We'll have an in-depth chat with the guys about Tampines a little later in the show. But Gavin, I mean, top of the table, it doesn't get any better than that. You've had such a busy season, 9 games already. You must be over the moon with how it started.
Yeah, if before the season you ask us if we would just take this set of results, we would just take it and run away. You know, no better way to start than our performances as well as the results, and very pleased about that.
Well, there's no better way to start with you 2 here than looking back at the week's action with the first of 3 games we're going to show you the goals and highlights from. And we start at our Tampines hub when it really was a second half demolition job as Tampines took apart the billionaire Lion City Sailors. 4-0 was the score in that one. We'll get to the exciting 2-2 draws in a minute, but first we go to OTA. Welcome back to our Tampines hub on the east coast of Singapore for the game of the season so far. Top of the table, Tampines Rovers taking on the big spending Lion City Sailors. Andy Pangeli does well with the hustle. Out wide it goes, and there's some room for Hafiz Noor to operate here. Andy Pangeli awaits in the area. Hafiz Noor finds an option in Song Yoo off the post, and out it comes. They can't get the finishing touch, and they want handball. Screaming for handball after Gabriel Quack followed up. But woodwork struck by the Sailors. This is better from the Lion City Sailors. They've enjoyed the better of the last 10 minutes, that's for sure. Naikudin with a cross that hangs up, and they're going to head to it, and what a save from Shazwan. Well, Songuyong, Stipe Plazabat, the big leader at the top of the goal-scoring charts. That's a lovely through ball. Jordan Webb is onside. Boris waits for it in the middle. Jordan Webb trying to find Boris! Big, bad, Boris Kapolovic. Stags 1, Sailors 0, and we've got the goal this game so badly needs. And Aragon and Tampines, the league leaders, are in front. And skill and guile inside to Mehmedovic. Beautifully timed pass and run. Webb gets to the byline, 1 look up, he knows where Big Boris is, and adjacent to the penalty spot, he strokes it past the helpless Hassan Sunny. Superb team goal, first time with that left foot, and Boris Kapolovic gets his 6th game of the season in all competitions. Mehmedovic dogs into the area, he's in the post and it's in! Oh my goodness! Zayrudin Mehmedovic put that one down, and the goal of the week and the goal of the season shortlist. With 20 minutes to play, it's row, row, row your boat gently down the stream. The Stags are turning the Sailors' dream into a nightmare. But look at this by Zayrudin Mehmedovic. 1 touch, 2 touch, 3rd touch, post, goal. They're on the charge again here at the Stags to the edge of the area. Here's Jordan Webb from a narrow angle! www.jordanwebb's 7th goal of the season.com. He's now up to 97 Singapore Premier League goals. And you can stick a fork in this one, folks. It is done. And Jordan Webb, well, this is the man of the match performance for me. He's had a role in all 3 of the goals. Again, he timed the run brilliantly. It was a lovely pass that put him through as well. Jordan Webb, is this going to be goal number 98? Jordan Webb selflessly passes it through. And there's a chance for the 4th, and Shah makes it 4. The Lion City Sailors in complete disarray, and Jordan Webb this time goes from scorer to provider, where the defence of the Lion City Sailors in this second half has been woeful, and as bad as it's been for them at the back, how good have the Stags been going forward, and even that finish was so cool, calm and collected, and the common denominator in all 4 goals is that man, Jordan Webb. Lovely layoff, lovely twist and a turn from Shah Shahiran.
Well, watching that, Gavin Lee just made the comment, never mind the SPL show, it's the Jordan Webb show, and with 3 assists and a goal to take him to 97 SPL goals, you can see why. I mean, I won't let him talk about it because we'll never shut him up, Gavin, but I mean, you must, as a manager, you must have been delighted with that, because the scoreline doesn't really tell the story. The first half could have gone either way. As we saw from the highlights, the Sailors could easily have been in front at the break.
Yeah, no, in the first half they had a couple of chances, but we had our chance as well. But you know, with regards to Jordan's performance, it was good for the team, and we know what he's capable of. Without saying too much, because his head wouldn't fit the door after this. But yeah, but credit to the team as well for doing what we needed to do to get him to the positions, and they got the job done. We
were on the coverage, Duncan Shukal and myself, and I think all 3 of us mentioned at one point, 2-0, the Sailors' heads just seemed to completely drop. Aurelio Vidmar mentioned it in his post-match interview. Out on the pitch, did you feel that as well, that you just had their number from 2-0 onwards?
Yeah, I think so. I think we did. I mean, as soon as that second one went in, you seen kind of all their heads went down, and no one was really lifting them up and all that. And I think we all gravitated to that, and then.
I mean, as a coach, I mean, Aurelio Vidmar, it's incredible asking a 29-year-old to give Aurelio Vidmar experience, bearing in mind, I think he's 53 and he's been around the world coaching, most recently in Thailand. How does he dig the Sailors out? I mean, I know it's 2 games, but how does he turn this round? Because it is, you have to say, they're not looking good.
Yeah, no, it's a difficult position, but I think it goes back to training. I think we've been in similar positions last year, you know, when we had 3 or 4 results that didn't go our way. We drew, I think, 4 games in a row, right, Joe? Yeah. It was tough, but we just trusted what we did, and we just did everything in training to the best we could, and we knew the results would come back.
He says, with I think a bit of justification, that it's not helped them. I think it was 12 days, maybe even longer, between their game against Tanjong, Pagar and yours. They've now got another break, contrasting with your setup, which I know you would mitigate if you had a bad result, that we've played 9 games already this season. I mean, would you rather be in your position in terms of how much football you're having to be playing than his, where he's having a lot of time with the players, but none of it's competitive?
No, definitely. We want to play games, because ultimately we are there to play games, and without a game for so long can hinder your momentum in that sense. So I'm glad we kind of managed the whole fixture, and yeah, we rather play games than not play, right, Joe?
Correct.
And of course, was there any needle out on the pitch? Your main man from last season lining up for the Sailors against you. I saw some verbals before the game on the pitch when you were all taking a walk around our Tampines sub. Was anything said out on the pitch?
No, because Shadan's quite quiet.
Yeah.
So
I can't believe you didn't give him some stick at some point.
No. There was another player on their team that was kind of.
Well, come naming shame. Who was it?
Who's the right back?
Oh, with Mohamed.
Yeah, he was kind of talking, so then that didn't help him at all.
I think what we need to do, we need to mic you up during one of these live games. I think it'd be interesting. We'll talk more about Tampines later on, but let's get to the next game we're going to feature, because we now go to Bishan. Now, Balestier, Marko Kravic has been a guest on this show, was great value with Duncan. He's got to be, present company excluded, one of the nicest people in Singapore football. And it's great to see Balestier doing so well after their disappointments in the last campaign. They took on Hougang, who are looking to bounce back from that Kairoulan disaster against Geylang the week before.
Started very well indeed, but have lost their way in the last couple of games, and looks very difficult for them to get through to the knockout stages. So Krajaka, let's palmed away by Khairul Hind. Was that creeping in from Shimei Zuzul? Quickly whipped in here. Might have hard to see from that angle. Balestier Krajcek. Lovely work from Krajcek. He's got Hoshino if he wants. He goes for goal himself. Can they finish on the rebound? Yes, they can. Shimei Zuzul. Brilliant counter-attack from Balestier Khalsa. Now, if you want to look again, Khairul Khalid, he could only push it into the path of Shimei Zuzul. Farhan. Now Afik. That's a lovely ball. They surely should score here. Fantastic goal. Really well worked. Stipe Plazibat makes no mistake from there. Beautifully timed ball. Great run there from Nazrul. No one tracking Stipe Plazibat. Khalili caught flat-footed there. Score in 3 straight games, if he can do that. Farhan. Oh, was that late from Saiful Nizam? Farhan with his pace. Forced the challenge. Saiful is saying he took his hands away, but it's a bemused look on his face. We saw maybe a few mind games there from Saiful Nizam. He's gone the right way, but he's hit that perfectly. Stipe Plazibat, 5 goals this season already. Top scorer in the SPL. Now, Krajcek. Away by Anderson. Here's Ahmad Shahir. Gone for goal here, Ahmad Shahir! Oh! Has that gone in? Now it does! From Shuhei Hoshino. It all started from the shot from Ahmad Shahir. Did Caroline Khalid once again get a little caught out there? Everyone just seemed to ball watch. Shuhei Hoshino was there first. What an attempt here from Ahmad Shahir. With his left foot. Again, misjudged, you gotta say, by Caroline. You don't want to be pointing out constant mistakes from the same player, but should he be doing better there, Caroline Khalid? That's not a good time to be doing a foul throw. Hoshino, there's an overlap here. Can they finish off? Oh, so close. Krajcek misses by inches. He had the whole goal to aim at. There's a lovely ball into his path. Quick thinking here by Hazwan. Hoshino did the right thing. Plenty of space here. And maybe Anumantan did just enough.
Fierce debate going on in the studio about that last goal in that game from Shuhei Hoshino. Jordan Webb, he's trying to have bets all over the place with all the crew. You think that was in off the crossbar before Hoshino finished it?
It was. 100%.
You're adamant? Let's have a look at it one more time.
100%. That was over the line. And the defender should have got that goal.
Well, I know one man that will be hoping it was over the line, bearing in mind the rebound went in anyway, and that is Kai Rulin. Now, we saw, I mean, it was very unfortunate. You don't want to stick the knife into a player when he's having a tough time.
Correct.
But the 2 mistakes against Geylang, obviously, cost them the game as it turned out. And when you're a keeper, your confidence is going to suffer, Gavin, isn't it? I mean, you've been fortunate. Shazwan's been outstanding so far this season, but it's a worry when your keeper can possibly be suffering from a crisis of confidence.
Yeah, I think it's
definitely tough because it's a lonely position.
and everyone makes mistakes. We speak about this, but as a goalkeeper, if you make a mistake, unfortunately, most of the time it will lead to a goal. So it's a tough period for him, but I've heard good things about him, so hopefully he will bounce back up quickly.
It was interesting, they put the reserve goalkeeper out warming up after the second of those mistakes against Geylang, but he kept his place. And on a similar line to that story, now I'm going to put you on the spot, Gavin, because you'll have heard this, but you probably don't want to talk about it. Clement Teo wasn't at that game, and I've been told by a reliable source he's not been at training at Hougang since that defeat to Geylang. Have you heard that?
Yeah, no, we've heard, Singapore is a small space, so you hear about all these things.
So what can possibly be the outcome there?
Well, I'm not sure. Different clubs have their own way of managing situations, and I'm a fellow coach as well, so I know how difficult it is when the results are not your way. So hopefully it's just...
I mean, he did an incredible job there. When he took over at Hougang, I remember poor old Philippe Ball, who's a friend of the show and a lovely guy. He had a terrible run. I think they lost double-digit games straight. He came in as caretaker, said adamantly he didn't want the job. 2 years later, he's still there. And what's more, they're now flying high at the other end of the table. But do you think this is the sign of it now? Maybe they're going to change the guard again?
Again, I don't know, because Hougang has a history, I think, of changing coaches midway. So I guess only time will tell, right, what the situation is.
And we must mention Balestier as well, because they're another club, had a disaster last season. Marco's a great guy. He had that dalliance in Malaysia and has come back. And I was a bit watching them early on in the season. I wasn't entirely sure that Zuzu and Hoshino were going to form a strike partnership. But Jordan, watching that, they do seem to be on the same page, and Hoshino's hungry.
Yeah, they're difficult to deal with, man. Their size and their strength, and especially with our team, we're not the biggest, and all the other teams really in the league, and they have an advantage there, man. And they play to their strengths. Balestier, so they're really tough.
And you were very fortunate to get 3 points against them at the start of the season. I mean, Shazwan saved the penalty from Hoshino. You could argue Balestier were value for at least a point in that game.
Yeah, I think people say that, but I guess we also had our challenges. But you know, like Joe always said, the final result stands.
Yeah, the only stat that matters is the one on the top left-hand corner with the screen when the final whistle goes. Right, good stuff. One more game to tell you about. Now, this was the match from the end of the week, the last game before the international break. And I have to tell you, at that point, the time it was in Singapore at 7:45, it was the only game of professional football that was being played anywhere in the world. Newspapers in England were doing full-page previews about Tanjong Pagar United and Albirex Niigata. And thankfully, the game didn't disappoint, with talking points aplenty.
And a very warm welcome back to Jurong East Stadium in the west of Singapore. It's Friday Night Live Singapore Premier League football. Tanjong Pagar United, their return after a 6-year break. They're up against the White Swans of Albirex, the four-peating league champions between 2014 and 2018. Lewis Jr. looking for the 1-2, very nearly gets there, does get there. Lewis Jr. into the area, across the face, and Tanjong Pagar have taken another shot lead. Brilliant build-up play from the Jaguars. And for the second game in succession, the White Swans will have to come from behind. All the credit in the world to Lewis Jr. for that one, as the coaching staff of Tanjong Pagar celebrate. Oh, he's onside here, Hasioka. Hasioka's into the area, options galore! And Ryo Nishiguchi levels it up. Ryo Nishiguchi, after wonderful work from Kazuki Hasioka, who started the season saying he wanted to be the assist king of Singapore football, and he's got an assist to his name here. Tanjong Pagar already starting to look tired, I fear, and if Ryo Nishiguchi scores an easier goal than that all season, he'll be a very lucky man. Yamota. Oh! It's a beauty! As one Brazilian is stretching off, the other scores a goal in the weak contender, and they're straight over to their stricken teammates. And for the second game in a row, Albirex Niigata had to come from behind twice, and they're doing it against the 10 men of Tanjong Pagar United, who are battered, bruised, down a man, but they're not beaten. And the best free kick of the season so far, scored by the Brazilian Yamota, has put the Jags back in front. Well, our thoughts and prayers go to Lewis Jr. as another effort comes in, and they've levelled it up. And it's Tomoyoki Doi, I think. Tanjong Pagar United retaking the lead. They've only managed to keep it for 3 minutes. Tomoyoki Doi has levelled this up, and it was coming, wasn't it, really? They were just letting them pass the ball into the box far too many times. It wasn't the prettiest goal. Compared to the goal we just saw from Yamota, it was rather ugly, but they all count the same on the scoreboard. And Tomoyoki Doi, with his second goal of the season in the 84th minute, has made it Tanjong Pagar United 2, Albirex Niigata 2.
So where to start with that one? What you didn't see on those highlights, primarily because even though we've got 5-6 cameras at the game, it was out of camera shot because it was off the ball. Delwinder Singh got the red card. The assistant referee, Andy Tan, spotted it and he was off, then refused to leave the pitch. He could be in trouble for that as well. We had the best free kick we've seen scored so far this season. What a goal that was from Yamota. We had Lewis Jr. This is the saddest news of the week, with what looked like a season-ending injury with that broken ankle that looked so innocuous at the time. And guys, we've got Albirex Niigata, the four-peat champions from 2014 to 2018, not at the moment, and I'll start with you here, Jordan, looking like they're really going to challenge for the title this season. Early days it may be, but they don't look as strong as they have been in years gone by.
I mean, yeah, they don't. I mean, it's really tough because obviously before they didn't have to play the two Singaporean players, but I still feel that they're going to be at the top because they play good football and they stick to what they know and how they play, and that is just attacking and keeping the ball, and they're so energetic. So they're going to be up
Okay,
there.
I'm going to put you to the test on that. Who are the two teams you fear most? You're top of the league, you want to win the title. Who are the two teams that you fear most? Don't forget, it's only a 9-team league. So who are the two
Brunei's
teams?
out. Brunei's not included.
Well, we don't know what's going to happen with Brunei, obviously COVID-19, but you can include them for the sake of this. The two teams that fear you the most. So you can say Brunei.
Home,
Yeah.
so, Lion City Sailors,
Right.
and Albirex.
Serious, in front of Brunei?
Yeah.
I think you might. I'm not. I don't. You're not fooling me with that one. Jordan's brought up a brilliant point though. This rule where they have the Singaporean players who no doubt benefit from the environment. I mean, the training regime at Albirex is clearly second to none. They have to start with 2, but they always take one off at half time, despite Sugar told me at the start of the season saying this is the year we're going to play the Singaporeans for the whole game. And I think in both the games I've covered of theirs, in fact all 3 of them, I think the Singaporean lads have been one of, if not the best players in that first 45. Daniel Goh, Imran Hakim, both didn't last the 90 in that one. Are you in favour of this rule?
Well,
Not so much about the rule, but I guess
the coach probably made a change because he felt that
the Japanese players he had on the
bench would offer something different. But if you look at the Daniel Goh, for example, he would walk into most teams as the starting under 23 player. So, but perhaps the
2 local
boys just need a little bit more time, more game minutes to be able to build up their fitness. And
I think it's Taniguchi always seems to bring off the bench to replace one or the other. You're a player, Jordan. These young Singaporean boys, and I think there is an argument to say it's good for their development, and clearly these boys, on the evidence of what we've seen, have improved from being around Albirex. And I know they're young, but it can't be nice for them thinking they're just getting 45 minutes and they've got no chance of staying on the pitch till the end.
Yeah, that would be tough, to be honest, if I was a player. Then you know you're probably going to get taken out. So, I mean, I would prefer if I was a player to play maybe with one of the top teams and fight for my chance to play, you know, with like the Lion City, Tampines, Hougang or something like that. But that's me personally.
Well, listen, you still think they're going to challenge for the title. Let's talk about Tanjong Pagar United. Late call-ups to the league to replace Warriors. It seems to be a great team spirit there. In terms of the coaching bench they've got, it's pretty sensational. And team spirit alone, seemingly, has got them 2 points from 3 games. In 3 games when I don't think anyone gave them a chance of getting anything. And they fought all the way to the end.
Yeah, no, I think the coaching team is always the nucleus of the squad, the club. If there's a disjointed or if the coaching team is not as strong, it rubs into the players. So it's fantastic to see the team spirit within the technical team and being rubbed off into the players.
How did you find them? You beat them 2-0. I mean, it was quite routine and at times very pedestrian, that game a couple of Sundays back. It was a strange old game, but bearing in mind the performances and the problems you've seen them give other sides now, you must be just delighted to get that one out the way and get the 3 points.
Well, I mean, I think because we scored quite early, that helped us, because if the game was going on and it was 0-0, then it probably would have been a lot tougher, you know what I mean? Because then they get more confident and then we're going to be like, oh, the time's running out. So luckily that we did score, which kind of made it easier for us.
Nashral injured in that game for them. Obviously, we talked about Lewis Jr. They're going to have to sign someone, and they will be allowed to sign someone, I'm assuming, to replace him. But, I mean, it's a disaster for them, bearing in mind they'll be so pleased with getting those 2 points on the board early.
Yeah, so I think it's a good time for them having this break now, so it allows them to just step back and then reorganize and look at their options, and I'm sure they'll come up with a plan where they'll be able to compete as strong as possible when the league starts again.
Would they be the most physical side in the league for you?
Balestier.
Well, Balestier, I think, is physical. They're not an easy team to play. So if you talk about physicality, then Balestier
and Brunei.
Listen, let's check in with the league table after those 3 games and give you a throw forward to what's in store after the international break. Tampines, by the way, have to wait a little longer after the international break for their next game. And as we look at it, guys, you'll be looking at that table sitting pretty. Tampines Rovers 9 points, just the one blip, which was of course a 2-0 loss away at Brunei DPMM, and it remains to be seen whether Brunei stay in the competition. So you guys, I'm sure, are flunking, as unpleasant, unfortunate as it may be for COVID-19 to mean Brunei have to pull out for this season. Going to be a long old season for the young Lions, isn't it? I always think it's a bad sign when you can tell other teams are rehearsing their goal celebrations, and they've all been doing that when they've been playing the young Lions. And who'd have thought that? The Lion City Sailors, second from bottom with just a 1 point from their 2 games. When we're back after the international break, here are the fixtures that are in store, and there's some absolute crackers there. Look at that, Albirex Nagata against the Lion City Sailors. That's an absolute standout. Remember, the Sailors have already been to Jurong East once this season when they drew 1-1 against Tanjong Pagar United. Really looking forward to seeing Gailing International against Balestier Cow. So you could argue they are the 2 most improved teams in the division this season. Hougang and Brunei with a question mark next to it, but let's hope not wanting to upset my guests here, that Brunei come back in just to make it a more competitive league. And the Young Lions against Tanjong Pagar United. That's an interesting one. Who wins that one? Very quickly, one word. Young Lions or Tanjong Pagar United?
Young Lions, Tanjong Pagar.
Tanjong Pagar?
Young Lions.
Young Lions?
Yeah.
Well, that's the first time I've heard you disagree on anything so far, but that's going to change when we come back after the break, because having run you through the best of the action in a couple of minutes, we'll be going inside the Tampines Rovers camp, and in specific, this special relationship, this bromance between Gavin Lee and Jordan Webb. You won't want to miss that. Stay with us. Welcome back, friends, to the SPL Show. Now, I'm not one for needless or gratuitous mentions of sponsors, but Jordan Webb just asked me, where did we get these comfortable sofas and chairs from? And I could tell him it's thanks to our sponsors, our good sponsors at 42.sg. So for all your home furnishing needs, make sure you visit the website 42.sg, and that's 42 written, not the numbers. So many thanks to our friends at 42.sg. You comfortable there, Jordan?
Yeah, I might get one of these.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Nice. Now, you two are sat next to each other like almost best friends, but of course that's not the dynamic you're dealing with. You've got a 29-year-old manager, which is extraordinary in any country in the world, and one of your, I mean, I know you've got Daniel Bennett there at 42 still going on, but Jordan Webb would be in the elder statesman status of his career at 31. You two come across to me in the limited interactions we've had of almost like best friends. Would that be a safe assumption, or, I mean, what's the relationship? You tell me, Gavin, what's the relationship with you and your star man this season?
Let's hear this.
Oh my days. No, we've got a good relationship. I think we've got a very honest and open relationship. The times you've seen us, we're chatting, laughing, but we have quite a few arguments amongst us as well. And I always win, just to put it out there. I always win.
I feel like Jerry Springer now. We're going to do the DNA test next. But listen, in all seriousness, it's great, that kind of dynamic when things are going well. And Jordan's a great guy. You're both great guys. But is there a danger when you're that familiar that if things, and please God for your sakes they don't, does it become harder to manage if you lose a couple of games? It's everyone smiling and laughing and joking when you're top of the table in both the cup and the league. But is there a danger with that?
No, I think it's a very similar position to last year, what we have last year. I think the players understand that I treat them as people first before footballers, but the moment we cross the line on the pitch, we have our jobs to do, right? I'm the coach, I make decisions, which might upset them sometimes or not. But the moment we step out of the pitch, anytime we can have a discussion about what happened or anything else in their life, and I think that's how we maintain that sort of system.
You've got Mustafiq obviously assisting you. He's a great sort of, I wouldn't have an argument with him. He's a great guy to sort of, is he your enforcer a little bit on the training ground?
To be fair, I think the boys have been good. We didn't need to we didn't need to whip them in that sense.
So you've had no player you've come across so far that you know of that you think has not shown you the respect you deserve purely because of your age? So far, you've had no problems like that?
So far so good. I think it's led by the people in the club, like Jordan, to the management, to Dan Bennett. Last year with Amri Shadan, we got along very well. I think we established a very trusting relationship. Yeah. And I think just from there, the younger players see that. And again, we respect our roles. And as long as we don't cross a certain line, everything is very good.
The most probably person he has a problem with would probably be me.
Really? And but again, is that laughing and joking, or
that's serious? That's serious.
So give me an example of a problem that you've given him in the last 12 months.
I got into altercation at training with Shadan one time, and
what, fisticuffs, verbal?
I mean,
or physical?
verbal, and it got heated a bit, you know. But I'm like getting into those little, because I'm always, if something happens, I'm gonna say it right then and there. I'm gonna say how I feel, and then
you're telling me that like I should be surprised.
Yeah. So like we got, then he had to deal with it, and then also another thing happened with me and Yasser.
Yeah.
and then he had to kind of.
Who's the club captain, obviously, yes,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So, okay, but are we talking physical altercations?
No, it's
Just sort of handbags. Typical footballers, you can't even have a fight properly.
Yeah.
But you feel like you've got a relationship that works in good times and bad.
Yeah, I think for now, yeah.
When they asked you to take over, because obviously Jurgen Rabb was in there, and I don't think you could find two contrasting figures to the you and Jurgen Rabb, the German. Did you, not that you doubted yourself, but were you like, you jumped at the opportunity, it was your dream come true, or did you step back and think, this too soon for me?
I think it's more of the former. I think I was just very excited to have the chance, and I felt that I was ready. And I had so many ideas in my head, so I just wanted to go and try it out, really.
But give people a background to sort of your build up, because it's not like you've played in the SPL, because on Brian Clough, he became a manager at Hartlepool at 30, but he was an established footballer whose career was tragically cut short. You almost came from the ether, if you like, out of nowhere to take over at Tampines Rovers, because I know you had an association with JSSL, the youth soccer school.
Yeah.
What other elements are there of your footballing background?
So the players refused to believe, but I used to play for the national youth teams coming up.
Right.
So my teammates were Haris, Hafiz, Afik, Gabriel and Gang.
So they were aware of you?
Yeah, we were in the same youth teams, but I stopped early. I pursued an academic route, mainly because I'm not good enough, right? Okay, I said it there. But I found the passion for coaching, and I just went down that route. I assisted Alex Weaver at Warriors for that couple of seasons. I've learned a lot, and again, my work with JSSL have prepared me for a lot of the challenges that we face now.
Do you think there's a chairman, and I'm a bit biased because he is a friend of mine, so I'm going to declare that now. Do you think there's a chairman in the SPL that would have given you that chance other than Desmond Dong?
No.
No. So it was purely, and you built up a relationship with him, and because as I understand it, this didn't come out of the blue. I mean, it was obviously announced, but there was a succession path planned for you even at that age, correct?
Yeah, no. Desmond obviously knew me from before. And he's seen my body of work when I was working in the under-19s 2 years ago. So I guess that's where he got his confidence from.
And any conversations, you don't have to mention names, although you were quite good at mentioning the players he had the fights with. Have you heard anyone on the training ground when it was first announced, when it first happened, saying, what are the club doing here?
No.
Everyone was in favour?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, because we've seen the type of work that he puts in, and I think that's where everyone respects him. Like the amount of work that Gavin does is exceptional. Like he really takes his job seriously, and we all joke around with him saying you need a girlfriend.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because he like is on his job 24/7. It's ridiculous, and I guess that's why you see why we're winning or why we've done well is because he's put in the work, and things don't come easy. But
I know why he hasn't got a girlfriend. He's a good-looking chap. I know why he hasn't got a girlfriend. It's because he's got zero emotions. Whether you're winning 3-0, 4-0, 2-0, 1-0, he just stood on the touchline with the same expression. You wouldn't want to play cards against him, would you?
I know, right?
He's absolutely.
Because we asked the players to control the emotions on the pitch. So good times to control your emotions. When it's tough going, you control your emotions, so you do well the next action.
I mean, what's your ambition? Obviously, you want to win the league, I'm assuming, this year with Tampines. As a Singaporean who's a young coach and is clearly good at what you're doing, is your ambition to manage the Singapore national team? Would you accept an offer to go and coach in Malaysia or Thailand or somewhere like that? What was your dream next? I know you're not going anywhere anytime soon. I don't want to give Desmond Dong a coronary. But what's your immediate ambition? Like, I'm sure when Jordan was starting out in his footballing career, he had ambitions to play for Man United, to represent Canada, represent Singapore, whatever it may be. What's your ambition as we sit here now?
Well, I think it's common knowledge. Just like players, I would like to test myself in bigger leagues or on a bigger stage of competition, for example. Like a Champions League would be quite exciting. But
AFC or European Champions League?
AFC first.
AFC
It's
first,
baby
one
steps.
step at a time.
Yeah. But no, I don't spend a whole lot of time thinking about that. I just want to get the job done now.
But the Singapore national job, I mean, it's interesting that the Singapore national team, and the debate goes on, and there's frustration and project, whatever it is this time round, they call it Project 2022 and then 2034. The Singapore national job, as we sit here now, doesn't excite you?
Not now.
Not a dream.
I don't think it's a job for me yet. I think that there are a lot of good candidates out there, but for me, I don't know about not coaching every day, not being on the ground every day. I don't think that's something for me. So yeah.
And Jordan, I mentioned that there about your ambitions when you started out. As someone that's been in Singapore on and off pretty much as long as you, and I know a lot of people ask this. People ask this on the comments when they're watching these SPL games. Can you explain to everyone, when you've been here this amount of time, how you've not been naturalised as a Singaporean and playing for the national team? What's the truth about this? Because I've asked you before in passing, you've almost tried to brush it off. Because they went through, when you came here, they were still going through this recruitment process of naturalising players. Why didn't you get naturalised and represent Singapore?
Well, I mean, when I went to Young Lions is when they said that they're putting me in the foreign talent team and all that. And then they made me write all the papers. I did all the papers and everything like that. And then as soon as Byrne got fired, they kind of just stopped everything. I don't know, like they didn't tell me anything.
The former manager.
Yeah,
right?
they didn't. I mean, it didn't really matter how well I was doing at that point in time. And then I guess because they wanted, when they said they wanted to go all local with the national team at one point, and then I guess they just decided.
Are you upset about that? I mean, obviously you never got the chance to play for Canada. Was it something you'd have liked to have done in retrospect?
I mean, I don't know, like I've come from somewhere, I come from something totally different, you know, so like my thing is I just want to make sure my family's okay. Yeah. And that's the number one thing. I mean, whatever comes after that is I'm cool.
Because you're not PR, right? So you're literally just here as like I'm a foreign worker. So do you consider Singapore home now though?
Yeah, it is. Like it's like a second home. I mean, I've been here since I was 21. So like it is like a second home to me. I mean, I in my 20s I've lived here. You know what I mean? So, and I have friends here, local friends, foreign friends. I've met numerous amount of people that have helped in my life. Like, so like, yeah, it is like a second home, but it is what it is.
As a Singaporean, Gavin, are you disappointed that he's not played for the national team?
Yeah, definitely, because he definitely would add quality to the team. But you know, it's not a decision that we can change now. And we just got to move forward.
Let's talk about Tampines as a club. We mentioned Desmond Dong. You know, you've got Nick Hunter there as well. I mean, a lot of these Singapore Premier League teams, Albirex are the leading example, by the way, with all the cheerleading initiatives and the things they do around a match day. But Tampines have tried to evolve and involve the community in terms of what part they play in Tampines Rovers. And does that obviously filter down to you as coach and players, that you're part of a club that's got a positive aura around it?
Yeah, I think definitely the management come in and give longer contracts. They've tried to give more stability to the players, help them. They've definitely tried to involve the community in with their different outreach programs, and our players, staff go and support those events as well. Yeah. So you definitely feel it's a well-run club. Yeah,
and that's interesting. You mentioned that. I'd heard that as well, that we see these stories in the papers every year. And we saw it with Emery Kong. I mean, he was our guest on the show on Friday with Duncan, and he's working his way back from injury. There's no security for footballers in Singapore. So Tampines now, I think, am I right? They pay you a little bit less, but the contract length is longer. Is that how it works, simplified?
Well, I don't really know everybody else's contract.
For example, I mean, people talk about contracts. How long have you got left on your contract?
This is my last year.
But this is a 2-year contract.
I was on a 3-year contract.
I mean, that's the first time I've ever heard of anyone in Singapore footballer being on a 3-year contract.
Yeah, no, I think that the club has a vision for the club to succeed in a medium-term plan, and part of the plan is to create stability, and the players' contracts is one of those details that needs to be improved, I guess, and hence the kind of terms that the players are on now.
It helps on the field as well, right? Like you see that because everyone has been there for such a long time, and we know when we go into training camp, we've been with all the 85% of the players anyway. Yeah. So what he has to do is just integrate the players that he's brought in, and when he gets players, he doesn't just get the best player, right? You get the players that can fit into the system that he wants.
So as you know, that model, as far as you know, is any other club other than Tampines doing that? Surely some will try and copy it if they see it works.
No, I'm sure Lion City is doing something similar, Hougang as well, Geylang as well. So I guess it's rubbing on to the other clubs, and hopefully it would help Singapore football in the future.
I mean, you've been here 10 years, Jordan, and obviously as a bit like me, you're sort of a guest in this country. Where's the S League now, or the Singapore Premier League as it's now called, compared to where the S League was 10 years ago? Do you think it's going in the right direction?
I mean, in terms of what Because
Well-
if we're talking about quality,
quality,
I
we'll
would
start
say
with that.
I would say before it was better.
Really?
Yeah.
In terms of the players playing?
Well, if you think about it, like before, a young player didn't just have the chance to just be in the starting 11.
Yeah.
Before, you had to be good enough to play, and you weren't getting any shortcuts.
But that's really that they had to do that, right? Because they need to promote Singaporeans playing. You have to find a happy balance to that. You can't just have these Singapore Premier League clubs, even if they had the money and the inclination to do it, saying we'll have 8 foreigners and 3 Singaporeans. It wouldn't work that way, or do you think it would work better?
Well,
that way?
I mean, but why not? I mean, so you had 5 foreigners and then you had 5 local players, but like you think about it, that when you're in training and when you're playing with these foreigners, a local player is going to get better playing with better players. You don't get better playing with worse players. I mean, people say you get better when you're playing, when you just play, right? Like people say you get better when you're playing. The best experience is experience. But if you're playing and you're playing with players that aren't even that great, then how good are you really getting?
But again, 10 years ago, my memory's not that good. But I look around the league now, and some of these are foreign talents. But you look, for example, in the striking ranks, you've got yourself, Boris, Hoshino, now at Balestier, Stipe Plazabat, we must mention him, and we saw a couple of his goals earlier, leading goal scorer on 5. Iqbal, Khairul Nizam in a team that's gone with a purely local strike force. I mean, there's some good talent around the Singapore Premier League.
Yeah, there is. I mean, now it just depends on the coach and what they want to do with their player. I'm not a striker, by the way. I'm a left midfielder.
I'm just putting you in that frame. You're the second top goal scorer in the league, so I think I'm allowed to put you in.
I mean, I'm a left mid, not striker. But yeah, there is, and there's like people like Bear, Sahil. He was a striker when I was coming up as well. And it just, I mean, there is a lot of good players that are Singaporean. You just got to put them in there.
Can I just correct you? Actually, your whatever position he tells you are, I think at the moment.
Oh, thanks for that. Yeah.
Need to give him, because he roams a little bit. I've noticed him being a bit maverick round the pitch in the game so far this season. But that's not your instructions. That's just him getting on with it, is it?
No, but I think our team has it's kind of like the triangle offense of basketball in that sense. You just fill up spaces you see and rotate into spaces you see. So if Jordan at the moment feels he can create the most problems by being on the right side of the pitch, then how do we all else rotate and accommodate to that?
Okay, well listen, we've talked for a long time. Hopefully Duncan will be back next week. And I want to get you guys in after you've lost 4-0, not when you've won 4-0, because you're far too happy and forthcoming. We need to get you in when you're in a bad mood. We'll finish though with both of your individual hopes and aspirations for the rest of 2020. Gavin, what will make you happy if you've accomplished it by the end of the season? What's the goal?
More clean sheets, more consistent performances, and let's see where those performances take us.
But you didn't mention winning the league. Is that not the overall objective?
Well, we all want to win, but I think the performances are harder to get, and if we can get most of that right, results will come.
Give you an option, AFC Cup final or winning, not going to say you're winning the final, but you'll get to the AFC Cup final or winning the Singapore Premier League. Which would you pick?
The league.
The league. Jordan, your aspirations and hopes for 2020, other than not getting into any more fights with your teammates? And I can relate to that, by the way, so don't worry.
I love my teammates. They're all fun.
No more yellow cards.
AFC, winning the AFC.
That's the thing?
Yeah.
That would be something special. We saw Home make a good run at it a couple of years ago, didn't we, now, the Lion City Sailors. Many thanks as we sign off, because they wouldn't have been as comfortable for this long chat if they weren't sitting on sofas provided by our friends at 42.sg. Keep it tuned to the One Play Sports Network for all the latest updates. Fingers crossed we come back after the international break. That big game to look forward to between Albirex and the Lion City Sailors. And if you want to see these guys in action again, you'll have to wait till the 11th when you're up against Albirex as well, right? Yeah. So plenty of Albirex and the highlights coming up. Enjoy the international break and make sure you keep up to date with everything that's going on in the Singapore Premier League with us here at One Play.